podcast for your soul, your compass, your journey, your light.
This is your host, Nico, Balschuweit, and today's guest is Tony Fonderson. Tony is a father, a friend, and a valued guide who is naturally talented at leading people to the insight they need to solve deeply personal problems. He grew up in a multicultural environment, and by the time he was 22, he'd lived in 6 different countries, had 2 engineer degrees, and spoke 4 languages fluently. Tony got a cosmic wake-up call after walking away unarmed from a near-fatal car crash in 1988. His brush with death led him to embark on a 20-year quest, studying how life, love, and relationships work so that the next time he would face death, he could look back on a deep, rich, and meaningful life. Today, Tony blends science, languages, psychology, and culture to provide expert advice and guidance in matters of the heart, the mind, and the soul. He's the author of a book on relationship called From Struggling to Cuddling, which will be released this year. Tony, I'm delighted to have you on my show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Nico. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you today.
Yeah. So there's so many things to talk just by your bio. So one element I'm curious about is so you managed to have to combine, let's say, the business world and the spiritual world together. How does this work for you nowadays?
I think it all starts, as you say, with spirit. I had a kind of quasi-spiritual experience during my car accident where I thought I was going to die, and everything physical kind of transformed. It stopped in that moment. And it was a very, very humbling experience because I really felt so small, so infinitesimal, and surrounded by the whole beauty of nature, but combined with that in the presence of danger. So there were multiple facets which I was exposed to, which didn't make where they didn't fit together logically, in the sense that in having a brush with death, I thought that would be one of the most terrible things that could happen to me, and it's something we are taught to fear. But having the presence of spirit with me in that moment made me realize that there is a lot more to life than just the physical, tangible things that we see and that we are motivated to accomplish and to do. So that was a very important lesson to me, that spirit encompasses everything. And I also believe that energy itself is a vehicle for spirit. It's a vehicle. Some people call it God. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it prana. But we are all made up of different configurations of energy. Some of it expresses itself physically. I mean, you and I were in different countries right now. We're speaking using technology. You hear the sounds. But all of that, those are different forms of energy. And it animates us and animates everything in the universe around us. So once I got that realization, I knew that no matter what I experience physically or even emotionally, that comes and goes. But spirit, in the forms of energy, always stays with me. And so it's always been a kind of constant guide and companion in my life.
Yeah, if this interview would stop here, I think that would already be enough for myself and for the audience, because this is all about a podcast for your soul. It's just really getting a sense of the energy you're talking about, of the soul or the higher purpose or your experience. And it really sounds like you had some guardian angels there in the accident. But also your daughter was also in the car when you had the accident, right?
Indeed. And that was, for me, a very miraculous aspect because I was driving the car and she was in the rear seat of the car on the passenger side. And I lost control of the car as we were spinning around. When I realized that I could not correct it, and I was on a flyover of a motorway, it was on a curve, it was raining, it was quite slippery, and I'd gone over a bump and the back of the car just started spinning. And, you know, we crashed into the guardrail, ended up at right angles to oncoming traffic. And after the impact of the crash, my instinct, of course, was to look at my child. And I turned back towards her, and she was in the car seat. She was like 2 years old, and she was so calm, so peaceful. I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she nodded to me, and she just looked. I can always remember the look in her eyes. She looked so beautiful, so peaceful, so serene. And I asked her, and she just looked at me in my eyes, and she nodded. And as she did that, I felt this relief that, oh my God, my child is okay. I heard the squeal of tires, and I saw another car coming from the right on the side where my daughter was. And it was a lady. I could see the whites of her knuckles holding the steering wheel. Obviously, she was trying to brake, but her car was coming towards us. And I just looked at her, and she looked at me, and we knew that there was going to be an impact. And all I could think was, my child. And I really thought that, okay, the first impact, I missed death. This really is it. And she hit the car. Thankfully, she hit my car on the front, not on the back, on the same side as where my daughter was. And my daughter, myself, and the lady, even though there was a lot of damage to both cars, we walked away from that.
Wow.
So that for me was a confirmation. I mean, for those who are not religious or are not spiritual, I would say to you that consider the fact that there may be something that we cannot see, we cannot touch, we cannot smell, which is with us. Just consider that fact. And look back in your lives and look at all the times when things happened that shouldn't have happened, and you got a lucky break. Was that all down to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this lands so deeply. I mean, in 2 moments, when you looked into the eyes of your daughter, I mean, I get goosebumps from head to toe. I feel very touched by that. And there is a presence to that. But then the second part, when you said that the lady, basically you could see each other. It's almost there's such a presence at that moment where usually would say, well, it's a blink of an eye, right? But then you could see her, she could see you, and then you had the thought, this is it. Yeah, and I think I'm also wondering, and I experienced things like this or talk to other people, what's happening at that moment that the time stops and you are so fully present, and how would it be if you could be more often so present to life?
That's a really, really great question. And I think that for me, coming out of that experience, I've always tried to kind of chase that, to try and get that moment of absolute unity, of absolute stillness, and of absolute awareness all at the same time. I now, 20 years later after the accident, I wonder if I can actually physically manifest that. But of course, the pursuit of that goal is a noble one. And I think that in fleeting moments, the universe and nature and God surprises us and shows us things and reveals things to us in moments which are quite unexpected. And I think that's the beauty of life. That's why we have to live. We have to be alive, because those moments are there. And even though we may try to move towards them, I think it's a little bit like chasing the horizon. It's always in front of you. And, the more you go towards the horizon, of course, the closer you think that you're getting, but of course it's receding also. But you don't stop. You just keep on going. And along the way, we encounter wonderful things. We meet different types of people. Nature reveals to us certain parts of our nature and our character that maybe we don't want to see. And sometimes, the universe taps you on the shoulder and reminds you of certain things that you would rather not deal with.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I love about Podcast for Your Soul is by the moment you share your experience, I'm allowed to sense that in your presence. And this is this aha moment, which I have. And then I can feel my soul, I can feel your soul, even the soul of your daughter. Yeah. And I think therefore this is so important to share. And in the presence of someone else, I think this gift of, call it soul resonance or spirit or whatever, occurs more often. That's my experience. And you said also that because of that accident, you looked more into life, love, and relationship, and that was also the reason why you wrote your book, From Struggling to Cuddling, which, by the way, I love the title.
Thank
From
you.
Struggling to Cuddling. It's just really, it makes me smile, and it's all about relationship. And so for the listeners out there, there are some phenomenal aspects which I never heard about to look at relationship within your book, which will be released this year. And one is that you say the one important thing is choosing the right partner. Now that's a big question. So Tony, how do you choose the right partner?
Yeah, it's something which I think we don't consciously think about, but I believe it's quite important. One very, very great person, I can't remember his name, but I heard it through Anthony Robbins, said that selection is better than training. And the people that you allow into your life actually influence you. There is an urban myth, I don't know if it's true or not, that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend most times with. I can't mathematically prove that, but I think that there is a lot of truth in that saying. And of course, your intimate relational partner is of massive importance to you. This person brings their wisdom, they bring their experience, they bring their shadows, they bring their traumas, they bring their joy, they bring their delights, they bring their support all into your life. And relationships, for me, they're like magnifying glasses. When you get into a relationship with someone, all of your characteristics, all of your good points, as well as your bad points, are amplified. And that's one of the beauty that we feel initially when we meet somebody, and there's a spark, there's an understanding, there's a connection. Of course, we want to put our best face forward. We are on our best behavior. We do a little bit of showing off to display ourselves in the most positive light. We elicit and actually inspire and invite positive emotions from our partner, and they do that too. So we amplify each other's energy fields and each other's good aspects. Unfortunately, we are complete human beings. We also have shadow aspects. We also have things which we would rather not deal with, or maybe rather not admit, or rather not face. And those aspects also get amplified in a relationship. So I think it's really, really important for you to be in the relationship with the right person who can be there to witness you, who can be there to support you, who can be there to laugh with you, and in those unfortunate moments, cry with you or comfort you when you are facing your challenges. And it's much easier to be with somebody with whom there is not only a physical affinity or an emotional affinity, which is what we pay attention to at the beginning of a relationship when we're dating, but I think a soul, energetic, spirit-based affinity is also very important, because that is what's going to sustain you in the long run when the hard times inevitably come. So what do you want to pick the right person? And I go into some depth on how to do that in the book.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, fascinating. And I'm also happily married since 23 years, and I can just echo what you just said. Yeah, it's just really one of the reasons why we are so happy is really that we have the capacity, as you said, to witness each other and hold space also for our dark moments, if you will. And this creates safety in the relationship, that you can show up vulnerable as well, and be with each other, but also be present for the partner if the partner has tough times.
I totally agree. Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things. There is, a lot of us are, spiritual seekers and light workers, and a lot of us have a certain affinity and a certain degree of independence in solving our own problems and facing life challenges, or in making plans and accomplishing them. And that's all well and good. But there's a relational aspect to life which cannot be fully explored or experienced without being in the presence of somebody else.
Yes. Yeah.
And that synergy between the two of you, it's like, you know, they say that 1 + 1 is not 2. When you have two human beings together, 1 + 1 is more than just the two of you. You also have the bond between you. There's how can I say, an energy of the relationship between you, which is more than the sum of you individually. You only get that when you come together. And that informs you in a very, very unique and a very, very deep way. And in a way which I believe is very, very difficult for you to reach individually on your own.
Wonderful. Yeah, in your book, From Struggling to Cuddling, you mentioned there are 5 partnership pillars that are essential for a harmonious relationship. Would you mind to share the 5 pillars with the audience?
I got this from a very, very wise pastor who I, by chance, I don't know if it's by chance, I heard a tape of a long time ago, actually just around the time of my accident. And he taught that, there are 5 aspects which you will always encounter in a committed long-term relationship, upon which your relationship can grow or will be destroyed. The fundamental, the base, I see it in the form of a pyramid. The base of the pyramid is communication. You need to be able to transmit what you mean. And I'm very, very careful about this. It's not just words, because there's things like body language. There's things like, a look. Even energetically, you need to be able to transmit meaning from yourself to your partner. And you need to be also able to make sure that you are open to receiving the meaning that your partner is actually transmitting to you. Of course, there's a lot of verbal dialogue there, but it's not only that. We communicate through looking at each other's eyes. We communicate by listening to one another. We communicate through touch. We communicate through maybe a nod, an encouraging smile. All of those are forms of communication. We can also communicate through a frown. We can also communicate by, emitting a kind of energy which says, stay away from me, or I'm angry with you, or you're not my friend. The connection between us is broken. Before you can have a relationship, those communication aspects need to be in place. And the most important thing, I believe, is for both couples to understand the communication styles of one. Because even though we may believe that we're in love, and we may want the same things, we may want to live with each other and have the same, experiences together, we all have our different unique communication styles. And recognizing your partner's communication style, understanding it, giving them feedback on how their communication patterns impact you, and perhaps even coaching them lovingly, what are the best ways that they can use to connect with you, and which ways that they try to connect with you do not work, I think is essential in a relationship. So communication is the basis of everything. So that's the first pillar. The next pillar is honesty. We need to understand our partner's definitions of honesty. Because honesty to me, Nico, may mean something slightly different than the word honesty to you. We both use the same word, but it could have a different meaning. There are some people who naturally are extremely open, and they're extremely extroverted, they're extremely sharing, and they believe that when they get into a relationship, it's fine, it's okay for them to open up and share everything. And they want, and sometimes even demand, to know everything about their partners. And they call that honesty. And if their partner gives them 90% but keeps back 10%, they consider that as being dishonest. But that's just a personal definition of the word honesty. There are some other people for whom they only want to share, or they're only comfortable sharing certain aspects of their life, and they want to keep something back. Maybe because they, are private people, maybe because they're introverted, maybe because they are actually setting a boundary and saying that, okay, this aspects of my life I want to share with you, but these aspects of my life, I'd rather, keep this back to me until I'm comfortable sharing that with you. And for them, they consider that being honest. So if you have two people who have different definitions of honesty, which I find is usually the case, I think it's very important for each other to understand where their partner stands around the definition of honesty. Because if not, if I take my definition of honesty and project it on you and your behavior, I could very easily see the situation where I falsely accuse you of being dishonest, simply because you did not live up to my standard of honesty. But my standard of honesty has no more validity than yours. And I've seen many couples fight and start accusing each other of being dishonest. And once that happens, it usually breaks the trust between the couple, and that sabotages their connection.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to say. It leads to trust. If I understand what my partner means, if they talk about honesty and I can live up to that expectation, it really creates trust and safety. And I see this also, I'm traveling a lot into other cultures. So for example, to India, and there I just also had to learn in their culture, sometimes they just cannot share the truth because they would lose their face.
Right.
And I had to learn that big time, where I said, okay, this is the way it is here. Yeah. So culture has a lot to do with it, and individual values and everything, but just really knowing what does honesty mean to you, and almost like giving a user manual from myself to my partner. This is what honesty means to me. I think that's very profound.
Correct. Yeah. As you said, there are some cultural differences, and culture and also family values and our family of origin also inform our definitions of honesty. And there are some cultures whereby it's considered not done for you to give a bad message to the king. This expression, don't shoot the messenger.
Yes.
It came from a myth that, every time that the messenger came and gave a bad message to the court that, oh my God, we are being invaded, the king would get so upset that they would shoot the messenger. And we laugh, but imagine if you were brought up in a household whereby one of your parents basically did not want to get any bad news. And so let's say you broke the television and you knew that you were going to get into trouble. And you knew that when your parents came back, if you said that, one parent may disproportionately be so upset with you that it would traumatize you. As a child, the natural tendency would be to try and hide that fact.
Yeah.
If you grew up in an environment where it is considered acceptable for a lot of unspoken things, to hang in the air, you may grow up with the value that, okay, maybe it is bad for me to communicate negative messages to the people I love or to someone in a position of authority. Imagine then you grow up, you meet somebody, you fall in love with them, they're absolutely wonderful, and they are so honest, and they are so open, and they are everything that you didn't experience when you were growing up. And you love that aspect about them. And you get into a relationship with them. And suddenly, they expect you to also have that degree of honesty and openness. But you don't, you weren't brought up in that way. You don't have that training and that conditioning of being completely open and completely honest immediately. In fact, for you, you may experience that as a trauma. It may trigger something negative in you and cause you to shut down. And bingo, there you have that. That is a potential danger in the relationship.
Wow.
And if those partners don't know that this dynamic exists, you can see how they can spend a lot of time pointing fingers at one another and expressing their upset with the way that they interact with other. But they love each other.
Yeah. I wish I had met you 23 years ago.
Well, I wish I knew this before I got into relationships, because everything I describe I have made the mistake and I've failed spectacularly in that. So I speak from the negative side of all of these aspects, which I'm sharing right now, because everything that I describe, I've made the mistake repeatedly, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can sign that as well. Yeah, and we learned it basically the hard way. But you just explained something which I realize is a gift in my marriage, but it took us years and years to really understand that, and that's so helpful just to have that clarity, even now as confirmation. But I think especially for young couples or couples who are working on their relationship, this is so helpful for them. Great advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'll quickly go to the third aspect. The third aspect, after communication and honesty, I believe that the next important aspect to work out is teamwork. And this actually involves negotiation and involves a little bit of setting boundaries. And that's why I put it after the communication and the honesty parts, because I believe that without communication and without honesty, it's very, very difficult for you to negotiate who does what. How do you do it? When do you do it in a relationship? You know, there's a kind of division of tasks in a couple. Maybe some people are more concerned with taking care of the house. Maybe some people are more concerned with taking care of finances. Who does the shopping? Who pays the bills? You know, who does the cleaning? Little things which on the surface independently don't mean much. But if there is friction and misunderstanding on these little things when you're living together with somebody or interacting very, very closely, intensively on a day-to-day basis, they can also be the cause of a lot of frustration and resentment in a couple. And I find that couples who try to negotiate, sometimes they fall into a pattern where you have one person is always dominant, always takes the lead, and the other person acquiesces. They don't like it, but they accept it just to keep the peace. Or what happens then is that breeds resentment, because the people who accept something that they cannot solve in terms of keeping the peace, that breeds a lot of resentment and disconnection. And usually their resentment and disconnection comes out in other ways, like passive aggression. So I believe that you should be able to negotiate. I mean, if both of you sit down and decide that, okay, I am the person who's going to take out the trash every Thursday morning. That is my job. That's my responsibility. You leave that to me and I'll do it. Then that's a kind of agreement. The important thing is to realize is that you have to be able to come to an agreement. Even if both of you don't see eye to eye, you should be able to arrive at a place that, okay, maybe now we can't find a solution to this problem. We keep the lines of communication open. We adopt this temporary solution for now, but we keep working on it until we find a solution. Even if that solution is, let's agree to disagree, and we both don't like it, we can accept that even though we don't see eye to eye on this aspect of our relationship, we protect the parts of our relationship which do work well, and we agree that we will not use this aspect of disagreement as a battleground.
Yeah, I mean, so helpful also, like that I have the openness to disagree and commit, but also I don't have to do everything, and sometimes it just takes some time to evolve, and that gives a lot of freedom and commitment in the relationship.
Indeed. I think it's a kind of infinity symbol whereby you have periods of connection and disconnection. It's kind of, imagine an infinity symbol lying on its side. You come together, you move apart. You come together, you move apart. When you come together, there's fusion. And it's a kind of, you kind of melt into one another. But then you move apart because you want to restore your individuality. And then as you move apart, of course, there's a space between you. And hopefully that space triggers a spark between you that makes you come back together. So you're always moving apart and coming together, moving apart and coming together. There's this kind of resonance, there's this kind of frequency within your relationship whereby you can grow, express, and discover things as an individual, and then take that back when you're in moments of connection to your partner and share that with them. They can reflect back what they've grown and what they've discovered to you. And that way, I see it very much like the fibers in a rope. You're intertwining your lives together, but you the individual fibers.
Yes, I like that. Yes, yes. And it becomes stronger by time, Indeed. The rope. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed. So that was the third thing. We've dealt with the communication part, the honesty part, and the teamwork part, which is all about negotiation. And then you have what I call the two energetic aspects, the two energetic pillars, which are sex and money. Mm-hmm. And these are ways of, well, let's look at money first. Mm-hmm. Money is like a container for value. Mm-hmm. It's a way of transferring value from one person to another. But the thing is that money, even though it's intangible, means so much to us. Mm-hmm. And we are informed, our beliefs about money are informed about our family of origin, our childhood, the kind of environment that we grew up in, and our culture. And for some people, money means freedom. Mm. For some people, money means power. For some people, money means having lots of options. For some people, money means security. For some people, money means excitement. So you all have different meanings of money. And even within us as an individual, I look at myself and I have a whole spectrum of meanings of what money means to me. Money gives me the ability to pay my bills, and I like that because I do not like the feeling of being in debt. Simply because I'm a very independent person and I don't want somebody to have a hold on me. But that's just my nature. There's some other people who, for them, being in debt, it's no big deal. You know, for them, they feel that, hey, you know, if I have money, I've got to spend it because I could die tomorrow. So for me, for them, money is a venture. So we all have to, when we come into a relationship, money is usually a contentious issue. It's usually linked to our values and to our past history. And again, we must find a way where we understand what money means to our partner.
Yes.
And we do not project our meaning and our hierarchy of values about money on our partner. Because as soon as we do that, that is, danger. So again, you then need communication. You need honesty. You need teamwork to be able to handle money problems. They're all interlinked. They're all intertwined. Yeah. And if you try to jump to, let's say, two people meet each other, they fall in love, and immediately they buy a house. They have a shared mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
taken care of the fundamentals in the relationship. They got to go through some problems.
I mean, you're just describing my marriage. I mean, it's just amazing, really. Yeah. Because initially, so I have a good job, I earn money, but I don't mind if my account is in minus for a few months. For me, it doesn't bother me. So Petra on the other side said, no, we can't have that. You do, and she said, you know what? You do whatever you want with your account, but we have a shared account, and this account will never be in red, will never be minus. And we did this. And since we have that, she's totally in peace and relaxed in regards to money issues. Yeah. And I really got it. And I said, wow, this is important. And also, she has also her own account. And in 23 years, I never saw it that it was in minus one time. It's just such a strong value. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And then I learned this, and now I appreciate this and I say, wow, this is just really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, as a couple, you describe, I mean, you're not alone in having a different aspect of viewpoint about money in your partnership. And as a couple, you can see that both of you have worked it out. And that is what I'm advocating. That's what I'm praying for. I wrote this book to really give people who want to have a long-term, happy, solid foundation in their relationships the skills that they need, because they are going to encounter these problems. Even if they don't openly address them, and even if they don't openly say anything about it, they will have feelings, they'll have beliefs, and they'll have thoughts, and they will be triggered by all of these issues. And I want to live in a world where people are able to express this, because there's so much pain in relationships. There's so much strife in relationships. You only have to look at the divorce rate. I myself, I'm divorced. I've been in love. I know what it's like to love somebody. I know what it's like to lose somebody I love. And I know what the aftermath of that does. And if there are children involved, that's doubly painful, because the child sees the two people that they love the most, the mom and the dad, who are supposed to be together and love one another, having so many problems that they can't stay with one another. And in a lot of cases, that's quite traumatic. And then these children grow into adults, and they take this trauma with them into their lives, and maybe meet somebody else, maybe meet another traumatized child. They have this affinity whereby they connect through their pain, and this starts off their relationship. And then they believe that because they have this connection, they'll be able to make it as a couple together. And it is possible, but you need more than love. Love in and of itself is necessary, but it's not enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need something else.
Yeah, and the feel I get that this is it's not just a book, it's a very, very practical guide, which can help so many people with all the experience you put into that book. So you said money and sex, is that like, you consider this as one pillar, or are these two?
No, I consider them as individual pillars, but they're similar in terms of that. Money is a way of value exchange, and value, of course, is energy. Sex is also a way of an exchange of energy. Sexuality has many different aspects about it. It's a form of connection. It's a form of establishing intimacy. It's a form of actually expressing your desire for someone. It's a form of it's a way of receiving somebody else's desire for you. And there is something spiritual and also magical about sex, even though it can have very, very mechanical and very, very dark shadow aspects about it. And sex is an area in which a lot of people have their shadows, and also they have their deepest yearnings and longings. But it's an area in which we find it difficult for us to be completely free, transparent in expressing what we want to express towards our partner, and also in receiving, any love and affection and intimacy that's coming our way. Because sex has been used, to hurt people. It's been used as a form of domination. It's been used as a form of power. I would like to say, probably I should correct myself and say it has been misused and abused for those ends. But in and of itself, sex doesn't have to be that way. And I think in a couple, especially in a long-term couple, whereby, usually when you meet one another, you don't know one another. There's this polarity, there's this spark, there's a lot of excitement, there's this huge rush at the beginning of the relationship, because you've got that new relationship energy. You're excited about one another, you want to discover things about another, and usually the sex is usually very intense and very, very off the charts. When you stay with each other for over the longer term, that initial firework phase kind of dies down. And then your true values and your true nature starts to emerge along with your shadows. And sex is a place where so many of us are so scared. We have so many secrets. We have so many fears. We have so many questions. And again, the relational aspect that we were talking about, you could use that relational aspect to actually witness your partner and help your partner make that journey, and have sex not just be a physical, mechanical act which just involves your body and maybe orgasmic release or stress, tension or whatever, but it actually involves your heart and your spirit. Remember the spiritual aspect we started talking about. Now, to get there, I believe that you do need communication. You do need honesty. You do need teamwork.
Wow, absolutely. Now I really see it's like a puzzle, how it all comes together.
All of these aspects are interlocking, and we all inform one another. And there are some times where, honestly, you can have monetary problems which you cannot solve, and then you meet in a sexual union and in intimacy, And you get to a certain stage whereby you create this connection, this understanding, and this synergy and harmony with your partner, that it dissolves other problems elsewhere in the relationship.
Yeah. I found this also, the sexual needs and desires, the most difficult part to communicate for me in a relationship. In the first years, there was so much shame around that.
Indeed.
That I couldn't. It's almost like it was stuck in my throat. Yeah, and I wanted to say something, and this took years and years. And now it's such a liberation, because it's almost, we enjoy talking about everything, and everyone is okay with everything, and this feels so wonderful. But it really took years and years and years to arrive at that point.
Indeed, yes. It's I totally agree with you, and it is. I mean, sex is a wonderful thing, but also it tends to be a hiding place for our shame and our guilt, because of maybe the families we grew up in, because of what we've seen, what we've witnessed, because maybe of the culture that we live in, the societies that we live in, and we give, how can I say, we give moral judgments to certain types of sexual behavior. For example, there's a paradox whereby lots of women and girls are taught, don't have sex before your marriage, it's dirty, it's horrible, don't have any sexual interaction. And then when they get married, suddenly it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you imagine, let's say, a 24-year-old lady who for 24 years has been told, maybe by her spiritual leaders, maybe by her teachers and authority figures, that sex is dirty, sex is bad, sex is horrible, all men want are sex, and, it's dirty, it's filthy, and you're not that type of girl. And she gets married, she takes those 24 years of indoctrination and conditioning into the marriage. It's not straightforward to switch, to say, oh, something which before I was married was filthy, now I'm expected to engage in that kind of behavior, and I'm expected to forget all of the emotional baggage and triggers that have been indoctrinated in me, and relate to my partner in a way that, is supposed to be an expression of love. And it happens also for little boys growing up to men too. And very few people actually talk about that.
Wow. Yeah, this is, such a high value to just, let's say, have a guide who brings all these pieces together. And as you said, I love the expression when you said it's like an infinity sign. And that's what I see also in your pillars and building blocks. How it's just, it's like almost like a wheel, and it interacts all the time.
Correct.
With each other.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they all inform one another. What I found when I was going through relationship challenges and I was looking for help, I found help on individual aspects. But it's more like I believe it's more like a set. It's more like, we have 26 letters in the alphabet. With those 26 letters, you can write a word. And you can combine words to make a phrase. You can combine phrases to make a sentence. You can combine sentences, to make a paragraph, and paragraphs become chapters, and chapters become newspaper articles or books or whatever. But you need those 26 individual characters of the alphabet from A to Z. I always looked, because I always found certain letters in the alphabet of how to create a strong, lasting relationship individually in isolation. But it wasn't until I looked at things, I combined them, and I looked at things in a kind of totality to look for a set of skills that in combination can give me the answers. And that's what I really want to share in this book.
Yes, beautiful. It's really holistic. Yeah.
Correct.
And we're not used to learn that way. In school also, we just take a look in one direction and try to become an expert, but we don't see the big picture.
That's
right. Make it holistic. Yeah. Wow. So then, even you said the 5 pillars. So the
5 are communication. That's pillar number 1. The next pillar is honesty. That's pillar number 2. The next pillar is teamwork. Pillar number 3. Pillar number 4 can be sex, and pillar number 5 can be money. Some other people, pillar 4 is money, and pillar 5 is sex. The actual order, but you need the bottom. You need the bottom 3 in order to deal with the other 2.
Yeah.
Now, what usually happens is that, boy meets girl, they go out, they have fantastic chemistry, they have minimal communication, they've got no honesty and they've got no teamwork, and then they do a pole vault, they jump up to sex.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that never lasts very, very long. And even if it's enjoyable, it's fleeting, you know. Or you meet a couple, they meet one another, and you know they move in with each other and buy a house, but they haven't really established the foundational parts of communication. When I say communication, it means that, you know, can I sit in your presence, and can you look at me, and can I look at you, and can we transmit information to one another and remain open to one another, you know? And once that is established, then can I be honest with you? Can I, you know, am I open enough to be honest with you? Or do you understand my definition of honesty? If when I come back from work and you ask me, how was your day? And I say, fine, and I don't give you a detailed timeline of everything that happens with me today, would you start suspecting that I'm hiding something from you because I only said fine? And your communication style is, when you come back from work, I don't even have to ask you, how was your day? You tell me everything.
Yes.
And I accept that aspect of you. These are things which very few people talk about, but we encounter in our relationship. And when you're in love, and when you're in the honeymoon phase, and you're so lit up by a partner, these things don't seem that important. But they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You also talk about the healing nature of relationship. Okay. Can you tell a bit more about this?
Yeah, as I said, following on from what I've just said, I believe that we carry a lot of light and we carry a lot of darkness in us. We carry a shadow side in us where our pain, our sorrow, our hurts, the things that we are ashamed of, our guilt is hidden. And human beings are very, very good at hiding things from themselves. And we also believe that in hiding things from ourselves, we hide it from others, which usually is not the case. You know, usually like an ostrich, when an ostrich hides its head in sand, its backside is exposed to everybody else. But the ostrich feels like, oh, my head's in the sand. I'm safe. I'm alone. Nobody can see me here. And that's how we are. And I believe that a relationship is the ideal container for us to have the courage to explore, to discover, sometimes to accept, and sometimes to integrate our shadow side. And if you're fortunate enough to have a partner who cares enough about you, who understands you, and who accepts you as you are, you know, with your light and your darkness all combined, and who can hold witness for you, who can be there for you, and who can support you, maybe not physically, because I think that sometimes each of us has to walk our own path. Each of us has our own dark night of the soul. But knowing that you have a partner who is there for you as you stumble around and as you fall over and stand up, and who's there to encourage you, and who's there to lovingly accept you and support you, I think that is fantastically healing. And I think that a relationship can be that, but you have to design it that way. You have to want that for yourself. You have to want that for your partner. And that's why I say, you know, it's pretty important picking a partner, picking the right partner in the first place, because these are the kind of aspects which I would invite your listeners to consider when they choose a partner. And even if you've chosen a partner and you did that unconsciously and your subconscious did that for you, that's great. Consider being there for one another in a healing aspect as well. I think it'll just make your relationship so much better.
Yeah, and I believe also that's the purpose of relationship is healing. That's also why I like the pain body concept from Eckhart Tolle, where he just said, okay, it comes out, but if you have a partner who can witness you in a loving, holding space environment, then it dissolves, and then only you can find and be the true self which you are, and be authentic as you are, and own and claim your shadows, and then find more and more liberation and be okay with who you are.
Absolutely. I think he's so right. I think that's a beautiful way of expressing that. I think that I've been fortunate enough to have some loving people in my life who held space for me when I go through my dark night of the soul. And it brought me to a place that I could have never arrived at on my own.
Yeah. And I think also this is nowadays the fastest way to become aware is to be together with others, be it in a relationship or with other people. And if several people come together and just can share unfiltered who they are, I think then it's just a field of growth which is so fast. Yeah. And relationship is a gift in that journey.
It is. I mean, no man is an island. I mean, we are born, all of us, we grew up in our mother's wombs, for a very, very long time. For most of us who went for full gestation, 9 months. And that was the beginning of the relationship aspect. We all came to this earth through the fusion of a sperm and an egg. I know that sounds scary and spooky, but it is a physical and biological fact. And, relationship informs us. And of course, when we're born as individuals. And when we die, we'll die as individuals. But in between birth and death, we will meet, we will connect with other human beings. And there is so much joy. There are so many lessons, and there is so much evolution and expansion that we can share with one another, that we can trigger with one another, that we can inspire in one another through relationships. They don't necessarily have to be romantic relationships. Of course, I'm focusing on romantic relationships in my book, but these 5 pillars can apply to you as an individual, vis-a-vis your relationship with yourself. Because we have relationships with ourselves as we have relationships with one another also.
Absolutely. You mentioned 2 other values of yours, which are acceptance and forgiveness. What does it mean to you?
Well, acceptance means for me dealing with reality and giving reality as much weight as I give my desires. In relationships, whenever there's a conflict, usually there is a part of us, one partner wants the other partner either to stop doing something or to do something that they're not doing. Either to stop doing something that they are doing or to do something that they are not doing. And obviously, there is a desire that a change should take place in our partner. But in order to trigger that change or to inspire that change or to even to express a wish for that change to happen, I believe it's much more effective to accept your partner for who they are being right now and not to deny that, because if you deny that, you're denying reality. Let's say you have a situation whereby you have a couple, they have a child. Mother is the main caregiver of the child and basically wants the child to go to bed at a particular time. And maybe mother has to go on a trip. She leaves the child with father. And father then does not respect the bedtime that mother said and basically allows the child to go to bed a little bit later. Mother comes back. She asks, did the child, go to bed at a normal time? Oh no, the child went to bed an hour later, and basically is not very happy with father's, breaking of the agreements that they had. And so there becomes a discussion now on basically the bedtime of the child, where both parents have different points of view. Now, there are very, very different tactics that mother could take. Mother could sit down and tell father that, you never ever listen to me. As soon as I turn my back, you spoil all the rhythm that I've set up. Now the child is late for school or didn't get enough sleep and is very, very cranky, or the child's rhythm has been broken. That's one approach you could take. Another approach you could take is that saying that, okay, and maybe ask father, why did you do that? What were you thinking? And maybe father could have sat down and said, I don't spend a lot of time with our child the way that you do in the evenings. And this was so special. It was just the two of us that, we wanted to watch SpongeBob SquarePants, the replay, and we rewatched a couple of scenes and we had such fun. And I loved it when she fell into my arms and I put her to bed, even though it was an hour late.
It's just listening also and asking.
Exactly.
That lens, I get it.
My mother asking father why he did it and actually listening, she felt and she discovered the reality in father's world, which is quite different from hers. And with that information now, she can then decide how she is going to proceed, either maybe to reaffirm the agreement that they had about, the child's sleeping time, or she may sit down and project and sit down and say that I think that's a really stupid thing and start a fight, But she, by starting from that point, she had all of the information about reality and then use that information about reality to inform her next steps. And that's what I call acceptance.
Yeah.
You really, really have to really start from what is, even though you may want something else.
Yes.
And a lot of us jump to wanting the something else without fully accepting what is. And we do that with ourselves. And of course, we do that with the people that we love.
Yeah. Very helpful indeed. Yeah.
And forgiveness, which is the other aspect, is also, it really is, it's quite difficult for us to forgive when we have experienced pain that was triggered by a loved one. I think that if we experience pain that was triggered by somebody who doesn't know us or somebody who doesn't have good intentions towards us, we're kind of naturally built to withstand that type of pain. But if you've got your heart open and through something that happened, the person that you love is the cause of your pain, that pain seems to be a little bit more intense. It seems to be deeper. It seems to wound us in a particular way. And that's inevitable in a relationship. There are times when I am going to hurt my partner inadvertently and quite hurt them quite deeply. And there are times when I'm going to feel hurt. And I think that forgiveness is a type of muscle whereby I have to realize that, yes, I was hurt. Yes, I do feel pain. Maybe we need to have a discussion about this not happening again, or maybe I need to express what I felt. I need to be heard. But I need also to allow that pain to dissolve, if not for my sake, if not for my partner's sake, but for my sake too. If I hold on to that pain and I feed that pain and I nourish that pain by reminding myself about it, by coming to a conclusion that, oh, my partner hurt me, when they know that if they do this, I'm always hurt. And I start projecting on them and I start believing that they're out to hurt me. And I'm holding on to that pain and telling all of my friends or anybody who listened to me about how my partner did this and I was really hurt and I was really angry. I'm holding on to that. And I'm amplifying that.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is an antidote.
I also call this stop bleeding. Yeah. And so I did several years ago a workshop on the Ho'oponopono process, the forgiveness process. And just to have that capacity to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. Yeah.
I love you.
I love you. Yeah. But mean it. And as you said, that we go full circle now, there is an energy attached to that. Yeah. And this process in and taking ownership of what I maybe did to someone else, but also to claim if someone else did something to me, and then just really say, okay, consciously, we'd let it go, yeah, and we forgive. That's very helpful.
Yeah, indeed.
To go full circle, Tony, so when you talked about your car accident and you had this a different touch to spirit, yeah, and then you said your life changed dramatically and you're more aware of your life. Then you wrote a book about the relationship, which I think it's just a fantastic practical guide for any couple out there. So I recommend to get that book, and I can't wait to read it myself. So in regards to that spirituality, how do you see a relationship as a spiritual container to holistically?
Yeah, I see it as it is almost like a recreation of I see it as an intangible recreation of our mother's wombs before we were born, whereby we were loved, we were nourished, we grew, we evolved without any conscious action on our part. I see that as a wonderful thing because love is everything. And even though we use 4 letters to describe it, words are not enough to describe that. And the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and one another is love. And a relationship, a truly healthy, nourishing, fulfilling relationship can be the container, can be the spiritual womb in which we recreate our journey that we all took to come to this earth. And there's something magical and spiritual about that. And if we could just find a way of increasing the harmony between partners in relationships, that is something that we can all create, experience, and pass on.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Tony. I feel nourished by this conversation. I received a lot of confirmation for my own relationship. There are lots of elements I want to explore with my wife. I can't wait till your book comes out, From Struggling to Cuddling. And you can find Tony on Facebook at Tony Fonderson, but I will put also the link below this podcast. And Tony, from my heart, I would just really like to thank you for this deep and open conversation. I learned so many things, and I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you so much, Nico. This has been absolutely wonderful, marvelous. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast, and it's been great sharing this time with you.
Thank you, my friend. Bye.
Bye. Namaste.
Namaste.
Podcast for your soul, your compass, your journey, your light.